Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Ipipina, 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 ipipina. Edukasyon sa pagpapakatao ang kailangan ng mundo upang matutong pakikipagkapwa-tao, mabuti ang loob at maginoo. Mag-aral na tayo ng ESP, ESP, ESP. Mag-aral na tayo ng ESP,
Good afternoon, constellations of stars, especially to our senior high school learners who are with us in our FB Live.
Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. We are still live in the Pigtayo Tanggub and Astral Academy FB page and YouTube channel.
I am Ma'am Sherry May S. Epong from Tanggub City National High School.
And I am Siti Badria Datodakula, also from Tanggub City National High School.
And we are your teacher facilitators today. May bagong tuig, Ma'am Bads.
Happy New Year, Ma'am Sherry. Today is January 4, 2022. We will be discussing week 7 in the subject Discipline and Ideas in the Social Sciences.
Yes, ma'am. So again, welcome learners for our week 7. So for this week's competency, we have examine the key concepts and ideas of Filipino thinkers in the social sciences rooted in Filipino language and experiences. So we will focus in the 19th century, Isabelo de los Reyes and Jose Rizal. And the 20th and 21st century, we have the Psikolohiyang Pilipino and the Pantayong Pananaw. So, more discussions when we return. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta. Living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Addition o multiplication, subtraction o ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo,
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So we will have the first 19th century thinkers and their ideas of social theory and socialism. Okay, so I'm sure our learners are familiar with the personalities that we are going to discuss this afternoon, Ma'am Sherry.
Yes, exactly, Ma'am Bads, no? So for this week, no, we will examine the ideas of Jose Rizal and Isabelo de los Reyes y Florentino, wherein they were our 19th century Filipino
Filipino think-
thinkers.
Yes, Ma'am Sherry. And not only the 19th century Filipino thinkers, but also the 20th and 21st century, which is the Psikolohiyang Pilipino and Pantayong Pananaw. Okay,
Yes.
but before that,
Yes, Ma'am Bads, no? So just a reminder, no?
Yes.
To our senior high school learners that at the end of our discussion, no, kinahanglan mo answer sa activity sa inyong SLM. So that is why learners, please watch and listen, no, attentively to the discussion, no?
okay, yes, Ma'am Sherry. So actually, this topic will help our students examine the results and the Los Reyes ideas of social theory and socialism.
Yes.
And also in examining Filipino psychology and the idea of Dr. Zios Salazar, which is termed as the Pantayong Pananaw.
Yes, ma'am, no?
Yes.
Um,
So let us start our discussion with Dr. Jose Rizal. So I'm sure our learners knew who is Dr. Jose Rizal since he is our national
Yes,
hero.
ma'am. So, aside from being a bayani, ma'am, no, si Jose Rizal, Jose Rizal also was a Filipino thinker and activist, no? And probably the first, no, take note of this, the first systematic social thinker in Southeast Asia. So, mao na iya ang reputation, ma'am. Aside nga, bayani siya sa Pilipinas. So, he raised original problems and creatively treated them. So, he lived during the formative period of sociology, but theorized about the nature of society, no, in ways not done by Western sociologists. So, pinasahi po si Dr. Jose Rizal. So, he gave us a different perspective on the colonial dimensions of the emerging modernity of the 19th century. So, he published his first novel. Of course, kabalo kaayo ang atong mga learners ani ma'am kaning Noli Me Tangere in
Yes.
1887. So it was actually a reflection of the exploitative conditions during the Spanish regime, ma'am, no? Sa panahon sa mga Spaniards, and enraged the Spanish friars. So it was a diagnosis of the problems of the Filipino society and a reflection of the problems of exploitation, no, in Filipino colonial society. Mo na naka-reflect dito sa Noli Me Tangere, ma'am.
Okay, so in addition to that, Ma'am Sherry, Dr. Jose Rizal also write his second novel, which is the El Filibusterismo. Yes, it was published in 1891 and examined the possibilities and consequences of revolution. So which is the sociological theory from Rizal's work can be discerned in his writings. The theory of colonial society that explains the nature and conditions of colonial society. Second is Rizal's critique on colonial knowledge of the Philippines. Third is his discourse on the meaning of and requirements for emancipation.
Yes.
Okay, so in Rizal's thought, the corrupt Spanish colonial government and its official oppress and exploit the Filipinos,
Yes.
while blaming the backwardness of the Filipinos on their alleged laziness. Yes, and then the project was not show that in fact the Filipino were relatively advanced society in pre-colonial times and that their backwardness was a product of colonialism. So dili di ay mga lazy.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no?
So napakita na
Napakita
siya
sa mga
sa
Pilipino.
novel ni
Ah,
Rizal. no?
Rizal sa kanyang El Filibusterismo,
Bosterismo.
which is the second novel.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that was Rizal, ma'am, no? So
Rizal.
again, Rizal is considered to be the first, no, systematic social thinker in Southeast Asia, no, a Filipino.
Yes.
No? So aside from Rizal, ma'am, we also have Isabelo de los Reyes y Florentino, or gitawag pud ni siya nga Don Bilong.
So, Don Bilong, yan yung isang tawag ka Isabelo
Yes.
de los Reyes, which is, he was born on July 7, 1864, and died on October 10, 1938. He was a prominent Filipino politician, a writer, and labor activist in the 19th and 20th centuries. He was the founder of Iglesia Filipina Independente, an independent Philippine national church. He is known as the father of Philippine folklore, a father of the Philippine labor movement, and the father of Filipino socialism. He followed his mother's footsteps by initially turning to write as a career. His works were part of the 1887 Exposition General de las Filipinas in Madrid. He later became a journalist, editor, and a publisher in Manila and was imprisoned in 1897 for revolutionary activities. He was deported to Spain, where he was jailed for his activities. Yes, that
napiso din
was
siya, ma'am, no?
Isabelo
De los
de
Reyes.
los Reyes
no?
y Florentino.
Yes. Aside from, or Dibagi, recognized he as the father of Filipino socialism.
Yes.
Ngano ka, no? Because he had his first brush with socialism during his stay in Barcelona, no?
Yes.
Where he mingled and was influenced by the writings of European socialist and of course the Marxism, no? The ideas of Marxism. So he was acquainted, no, with the anarchists, no, syndicalists and other extremists, no, and ideological thinkers. Mo ni nakapa-influence sa iya, ma'am. He was released in 1898 and actually he was banned from leaving Spain. So nahimo tawon ni siyang drifter in Barcelona, no, nahimo siyang vagrant, no, palaboy-laboy na lang siya.
Palaboy-laboy.
During this time, he came to know radicals, no, such as Francisco Ferrer, Alejandro Rilox, and others. So on his return to the Philippines, he became the leader of Nacionalista Party. So he took with his works by socialists such as Karl Marx, no? Mauni ang kumbaga nag-provide yun niya og mga influences.
Yes.
The Proudhon, the Baconian, and Erico Malatista. So he was the first president of the Union Obrera Democratica. So actually kaning union na formed ni siya, that was February 2, 1902, wherein they aimed to achieve a long-for alliance between capital and labor. Of course, naa naman good siya idea when it comes to this ideals from the Marxist, no? And then he represented workers in various disputes, no? Supervise educational discussions and lead the country's May 1 protest celebration. Di ba? Kung makahinumdum ta, mga learners, every May 1,
we celebrate the Labor Day.
yes, no? Maugyod na ang tatak sa Labor Day, no? An annual tradition that is held, no? Every year. So his patriotism fed into his desire for unionism. So unionism, meaning to say only through the unity of workers could they can defeat the imperialist. No? So throughout his life, si Isabelo de los Rias wrote and published multiple newspapers, no? Works in various subjects such as history, di ba, na considered po siya as father of folklore, Filipino folklore, and then religion and politics. That is Isabelo de los Rias.
Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, Rizal and de los Rias were some of the notable Filipino thinkers in the 19th century.
Yes.
So, Rizal was the first systematic social thinker in the Southeast Asia, and Isabelo de los Rias is known as the father of socialism, Philippine folklore, and Philippine labor movement.
Yes. So, muna ang atong 19th century
Centuries.
thinkers, ma'am, no?
Filipino thinkers, yes, Ma'am Sherry.
So, let us proceed to the next, ma'am, which is the Psikolohiyang Pilipino or the so-called Filipino psychology.
Okay, Ma'am Sherry. So, Filipino psychology or Psikolohiyang Pilipino is defined as the psychology rooted in the experience, ideas, and cultural orientation of the Filipinos. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, when we say psychology, it has something to do with the study of
Yeah,
human and
human
animal
and
behavior.
animals,
But
yes.
then, sa atua, ma'am, no, kay Filipino psychology, so, kung baga, we will base this study on the Philippine experience,
Yes.
Filipino ideas. So, actually, ma'am, it was formalized, no, in 1975. So, by the Pambansang Samahanang Psikolohiyang Pilipino or the National Association for Filipino Psychologists under the leadership of Virgilio Enriquez. Si Virgilio Enriquez is also known as the father of Filipino psychology.
Okay, so Filipino psychology in the Philippines exists and grows as part of the nationalist indigenization movement in the Philippines. So its roots can be traced back to the introduction of the American education system in the Philippines.
Yes, ma'am. So, aside from Enriquez, ma'am, naapod ta si Agustin Alonzo. So, si Alonzo was among the first, no, Filipino psychologists to return from their education in America. No? So, and thought that the College of Education at the University of the Philippines, his team brought with them psychological knowledge rooted in the American tradition of psychology. So kung baga, murag, ang atong Filipino psychology is nag-based or nagkuha pud og somewhat idea from the American tradition of psychology.
Okay, so from Filipino psychology, Ma'am Sherry, we will proceed to examine the idea of Dr. Zeus, which is the pantayong pananaw. So, can you give us what is the pantayong pananaw?
Yes.
Ma'am Sherry?
So, pantayong pananaw, no? Idea na ni Dr. Salazar, no? A Filipino sociologist concerned on the importance of learning Philippine history, ma'am. So, through the use of Filipino language. So,
Okay.
magamit ta og Filipino language in the context of the Filipino people.
Okay, so Pantayong Pananaw is a Filipino-based from us for us,
Yes.
or perspectives and communication based on framework whose aim is to produce a national discourse or talastasang bayan. Okay, so basically, two Filipino root words are involved in the phrase Pantayong Pananaw. Tayo and pananaw. In the Filipino language, tayo is used as collective and inclusive form of we. Tayo.
Yes, we.
Yes, we. So referring both to the speaker and the listeners, pananaw, on the other hand, means outlook or perspective. Pantayong pananaw thus refers to the historical theory or dialogue that consists of both active and passive subjects in their own discourses. Okay, so pantayong pananaw perspective, kasaysayan, not history, is now defined as salaysay ukol sa nakaraan o nakalipas na may saysay para sa isang grupo ng tao at inuulat sa pamamagitan ng sariling wika.
Yes.
Yes, as a movement, Pantayong Pananaw pronounces that the original language of the Filipinos and other indigenous groups in the Philippines ought to be used in writing Filipino history.
Yes, ma'am. So, gamit ta sa ato ang Filipino language.
Yes, own language.
Yes,
nato.
in writing the history.
Yes.
Or kasaysayan.
Kasaysayan.
Na. So, Pantayong Pananaw states that historians, no, ang mga historians na to, must also make use of unconventional sources, no, that are untainted by any foreign biases. So, unsa maning mga unconventional sources? It could be songs or revolutionary songs, no, the soldiers' letters, no, poems, no, plays, games, and sculptures. So, pwede na daw, mo nag-suggest nga gamiton sa atong mga historians.
Ang atong sariling
Language and the unconventional sources,
Yes.
no, to support of course the information sa history or sa kasaysayan.
Yes.
So at present, the Pantayong Pananaw outlook has been used to fruitfully write and articulate about the apparently quiet sectors and sections of the Filipino society. So for instance, no, ang Pantayong Pananaw is found to be valuable, no, especially in women's studies, principally in writing about the silent contributions and the impact of women, no, in social, economic, political, and historical development of the country. So through this Pantayong Pananaw, through this methodology, it also gives voices, no, para sa mga marginalized sectors.
Okay, so that was Pantayong Pananaw, Ma'am Sherry. The idea of Dr. Zios Salazar.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So, I'm sure, no, ang atong learners, maka-examine na sila,
Yes,
ma'am. Since
oo.
ang atong competency is to examine the ideas of the social science thinkers, Filipino thinkers.
Which is Rizal,
Rizal, De los Reyes, Alonso,
and
Salazar, and Enriquez, ma'am. No?
Yes.
So, we will continue our discussion after a short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin likas na yaman. Halika na, mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na, ipipina, 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 ipipina. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, learners, no, kindly check your self-learning materials, no, for your activity number 7. Okay, so in your activity number 7, you have there the multiple choice, no? So just encircle the letter of your
Answer.
choice. And then the next activity is the parallel assessment. So in the parallel assessment, your task is to examine, no? Basahag balik ang ang SLM. Examine carefully the significance of the different key concepts or ideas influenced by Jose Rizal, no, Isabelo de los Reyes, and then Dr. Salazar, no, from the 19th to 21st century to support disadvantaged or unrepresented groups. So, you can write your answer on the space provided, katong naay columns dito, naay box, and then, or you can write your answer on a separate sheet of paper.
Okay, to the senior high school learners, please check the second attendance marker on the top of your screen. Okay.
Okay, so SHS stars, no, we hope that you learn something from our discussion today, no, about the Filipino social thinkers. Yes.
So if you have any questions or comments about the topic, please write it down below. Okay, so we hope our learners have a very good time in watching our FB Live. So this has been your Ma'am Siti Badria Datudakula from Tangub City National High School.
And I'm your mom, Shermay S. Epong Steele from Tangub City National High School. Thank you for watching and have a blissful day. Keep safe, everyone.
See you next week. Bye.
7 Mathematics! Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangko. We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Last episode, you have learned performing operations on polynomials. This time, learners, stay tuned and get prepared, for we will be focusing on multiplying special cases of polynomials called special products.
Special product is a mathematical term in which factors are combined to form products. It is called special because they do not need long solutions. Here are the different types of special products. First, we have the product of two binomials. Another is product of the sum and difference of two terms. Square of binomial, cube of binomial, and product of binomial and trinomial.
Now, let us start solving product of two binomials. A binomial is a polynomial with two terms. For example, x minus 1 and x plus 3 are both binomials. Now, let us have a review in multiplying binomials. Note, multiplication of binomials can be done using distributive property and FOIL method. For example, the quantity of x minus 6 times the quantity of x minus 2. Now, using distributive property, first, we multiply the first term of the first binomial to the second binomial. That is, x times the quantity of x minus 2. Next, multiply the second term of the first binomial to the second binomial. That is, negative 6 times the quantity of x minus 2. We now have x times the quantity of x minus 2 minus 6 times the quantity of x minus 2. Now, let's simplify. X times the quantity of x minus 2, using distributive property, we now have x times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 6 times the quantity of x minus 2, using distributive property, we have negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12. We now have x squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 12. Combining similar terms or like terms, negative 2x minus 6x is negative 8x. We now have x squared minus 8x plus 12. Now, let us finalize our answer. Therefore, the quantity of x minus 6 times the quantity of x minus 2 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 12. Now, how about using the FOIL method, or the first, outer, inner, last? To do the FOIL method, first, we multiply the first terms. X times x is equal to x squared. Next, multiply the outer terms. X times negative 2 is equal to negative 2x. Next, multiply the inner terms. Negative 6 times x is equal to negative 6x. Lastly, multiply the last terms. Negative 6 times negative 2 is equal to positive 12. We now have x squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 12. Combining similar terms or like terms, negative 2x minus 6x is equal to negative 8x. We now have x squared minus 8x plus 12. Finalizing the answer, therefore, the quantity of x minus 6 times the quantity of x minus 2 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 12. Note, FOIL method can only be used in multiplying binomial by a binomial. Easy, right?
Now, let us proceed to the next special product. This is the product of sum and difference of two terms. Sum and difference of two terms are two binomials with same terms but differ in operation signs. One is addition and the other is subtraction. Examples of sum and difference of two terms are: the product of a sum and difference of two terms is easy to find and even easier to work out. There's no need to use distributive property or even FOIL method, since the product of a sum and difference of two terms is just the difference of the squares of the two terms. In symbol, we have the product of a plus b and a minus b, or a minus b times a plus b, is equal to the square of a minus the square of b. Let us have example. Let us multiply the binomials, the quantity of x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 3. First, we square the first term. The first term is x. So, the square of x is equal to x squared. Next is we square the last term. The last term is 3. So, 3 squared is equal to 9. Now, let us take the difference of the two squares. Therefore, the product of the quantity x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 3 is equal to x squared minus 9. Do you get it? Good. Well, you can actually check your answer using the distributive property or the FOIL method.
Now, let us proceed to the next special product called square of a binomial. Square of a binomial is a binomial with an exponent of 2. Examples of square of binomial are: to easily get the product of the square of a binomial without the use of FOIL method and distributive property, take note of this. The square of a binomial is the sum of the square of the first term of the binomial twice the product of the two terms and the square of the last term of the binomial. In symbol, the square of a plus b is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Note, the square of a binomial is always a trinomial. Now let us have an example. What is the square of x plus 2? Following the form a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, a squared means we square the first term of the binomial. Since the first term is x, squaring it, we now have x times x, or x squared. For the term 2ab, this means we get twice of the product of the two terms of the binomial. The two terms are x and 2. Twice the two terms, we now have 2 times x times 2. For the term b squared, this means we square the last term of the binomial. Now, since the last term of the binomial is 2, squaring it, we now have 2 times 2, or 2 squared. Now, write the terms in order, then simplify. So, we now have the quantity of x plus 2 squared is equal to x squared plus 2 times x times 2 plus 2 squared. Simplifying, 2 times x times 2 is equal to 4x. We now have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now, finalizing our answer, therefore, the square of the binomial x plus 2 is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. Do you get it? Great! Well, you can always check the answer using FOIL method or distributive property.
Now this time, how about getting the cube of a binomial? But let us identify first this kind of special product. The cube of binomial is a binomial with an exponent of 3. Here are the examples of cube of binomials. To easily solve the cube of a binomial, we follow this form. The cube of x plus y is equal to x cubed plus 3x squared y plus 3xy squared plus y cubed. Note that the product of the cube of a binomial has 4 terms. Now let us have an example. What is the cube of the quantity x plus 2? Now first, we have to follow the form x cubed plus 3x squared y plus 3xy squared plus y cubed. So, Let us find the cube of the first term of the binomial. Since our first term of our binomial is x, then therefore the first term of the product is x cubed. Now the second is we get thrice the product of the square of the first term and the second term of the binomial. Now since the given binomial is x plus 2, then therefore we have 3 times x squared times 2. Next, we get thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term of the binomial. So we now have 3 times x times 2 squared. Now the last term or the fourth term of the product is the cube of the second term of the binomial. So we now have 2 cubed. Now let us write the terms in order and simplify. So the cube of x plus 2 is equal to x cubed plus 3x squared times 2 plus 3 times x times 2 squared plus 2 cubed. Simplifying, the cube of x is equal to x cubed. 3 times x squared times 2 is equal to 6x squared. 3 times x times 2 squared is equal to 12x. 2 cubed is equal to 8. Therefore, the cube of x plus 2 is equal to x cubed plus 6x squared plus 12x plus 8.
Easy, right? Now, let's proceed to solving the product of a binomial and a trinomial. Another type of multiplying polynomial problem is the product of a binomial and trinomial. FOIL method cannot be used in this case since it is only applicable in getting the product of two binomials. But the distributive property can still be used in this case. However, solving product of binomial and trinomial can easily be solved if it satisfies these three cases. Multiplying trinomial by a binomial can only be applied in these special cases. First, the first term of the trinomial is the square of the first term of the binomial. Second, the second term of the trinomial is the negative of the product of the first term and second term of the binomial. Lastly, the last term of the trinomial is the square of the second term of the binomial. Now let us have an example. Find the product of the quantity of x plus 2 times the quantity of x squared minus 2x plus 4. Now before solving this, we check if it satisfies the three cases. Case 1. The first term of the trinomial is the square of the first term of the binomial. Since the given binomial is x plus 2 and its first term is x, squaring it we have x squared. Case 2. The second term of the trinomial is the negative of the product of the first term and the second term of the binomial. In the given binomial x plus 2, the first term is x. The second term is 2. Now getting the negative of their product, we have negative times x times 2 is equal to negative 2x. Case 3. The last term of the trinomial is the square of the second term of the binomial. In the given binomial x plus 2, the second term is positive 2. Squaring it, we have 4. Now, since the given binomial and trinomial satisfy the three cases, then, solving this kind of special product, we need to follow few steps. First, cube the first term of the binomial. The first term of the binomial is x. Getting its cube, we have x cubed. Next, cube the second term of the binomial. In the given binomial x plus 2, the second term is 2. Getting its cube, we have 2 cubed. Next, write the terms in order and simplify. We now have the quantity of x plus 2 times the quantity of x squared minus 2x plus 4 is equal to x cubed plus 2 cubed. Simplifying, the quantity of x cubed is equal to x cubed. 2 cubed is equal to 8. We now have x cubed plus 8. Therefore, the quantity of x plus 2 times the quantity of x squared minus 2x plus 4 is equal to x cubed plus 8. complicated? No.
Now, since you already learned the different special products, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity. Let us read the directions. Multiply the following using the special products. Write the final answer only.
To end, always remember that life is like math. If you multiply happiness,
You end up living a grateful life. Grade 8 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 8 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Hello! Welcome back mga grade 8 Mathenics!
today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
hooray! Now, let us begin.
A proof is a logical argument in which each statement you make is supported or justified by the given information, definitions, axioms, postulates, theorems, and previously proven statements. Proofs can be written in different ways. One of the tools used in proving is reasoning, specifically deductive reasoning. In writing proofs, the properties of equality and congruence are also used as bases for reasoning.
So now learners, stay tuned and bear with us today for we will tackle another new lesson. And this is all about writing direct and indirect proof.
Now, let us start with the different properties of equality and properties of congruence, for these will be used as bases for reasoning later. These are the properties of equality. Addition property of equality, or APE. It states that for all real numbers A, B, C, and D, if A is equal to B and C is equal to D, then A plus C is equal to B plus D. Subtraction property of equality. This states that if A is equal to B and C is equal to D, then A minus C is equal to B minus D. Multiplication property of equality. This property states that if A is equal to B, then A times C is equal to B times C. Division property of equality. This states that if A is equal to B and C is not equal to 0, then A divided by C is equal to B divided by C. Substitution property of equality. If A is equal to B, then A may be replaced with B at any time. Distributive property. This states that if A is multiplied by B plus C, then it is equal to reflexive property. A is equal to A. Anything is equal to itself. Symmetric property. If A is equal to B, then B is equal to A. Transitive property. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. These are the properties of congruence. First, we have reflexive property. Line segment AB is congruent to line segment AB. Note, an angle or a segment is congruent to itself. Next, we have symmetric property. It states that if angle A is congruent to angle B, then angle B is congruent to angle A. Last is transitive property. This states that if angle A is congruent to angle B and angle B is congruent to angle C, then angle A is congruent to angle C.
Now, aside from the properties, you would also remember the following. A postulate is a statement that is accepted without proof. A theorem is a statement accepted after it is proven deductively. Now, how are we going to perform direct proof? To perform a direct proof, you take the original conditional statement, assume that P or the hypothesis is true, and show that Q or conclusion is also true. In other words, we start from P, then we think of everything that is possible and true from it until we reach Q. Direct proof can be done in two ways. We have the paragraph form and the two-column form. Now let us define first paragraph form. Paragraph form is also known as informal proof. The paragraph form is one way of proof where you write a paragraph to explain why a conjecture for a given situation is true. Now, let us have an example. Given angle LOE and angle EOV are complementary. Now, let us prove that the segment LO is perpendicular to segment OV. Now, using the paragraph form, here is the proof. Since angle LOE and angle EOV are complementary, then the measure of angle LOE plus measure of the angle EOV is equal to 90 degrees by definition of complementary angles. Thus, measure of angle LOE plus measure of angle EOV is equal to the measure of angle LOV by angle addition postulate. And measure of angle LOV is equal to 90 degrees. That is by transitive property. So, angle LOV is right angle by definition of right angles. Therefore, segment LO is perpendicular to segment OV by definition of perpendicularity. Do you get it?
Good! Now, let us proceed to the two-column proof. Now we have the two-column form or formal proof. In creating a two-column proof, write all the series of statements in the first column of the table in a logical order, starting with the given statements and ends it with a statement that needs to be proven. Also, in a step-by-step manner, write all the reasons for each statement using the properties of equality and congruence as our basis. For example, given measure angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle TER. Prove that measure angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. Now here is the proof in two-column form. We have the statement and its corresponding reason. First statement, measure angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle TER. The reason is given. Second statement, measure angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2. The reason, angle addition postulate. Third statement, measure angle TER is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. The reason is angle addition postulate. Fourth statement, measure angle 1 plus measure angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. The reason, substitution property. Fifth statement, measure angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 2. Reason, reflexive property. Last statement, measure angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. The reason, subtraction property. Do you get it? Great! So those were the two ways of writing direct proof. Again, the paragraph form and the two-column form.
We write proof, which consists of the statement and reasons in a logical order. Now, another form of writing proof is called indirect form.
So, what do we mean by indirect proof? An indirect proof is a method of reasoning usually written in paragraph form. The opposite of the statement to be proven is assumed true until the assumption leads to contradiction. Now, here are the steps to follow when proving indirectly. First, assume the opposite of the conclusion. Write the opposite of the statement. Second, proceed as if this assumption is true to find the contradiction. Take the statement as true and solve. Third, once there is a contradiction, the original statement is true. For example, refer to this figure. Given, points D, G, and E are collinear with G between D and E. Point F is not on segment DE. Prove that measure angle DGF is not equal to 180 degrees. Now, to prove indirectly, here is the proof. Assume that measure angle DGF is equal to 180 degrees. It is given that points D, G, and E are collinear with G between D and E. Hence, angle DGF and angle FGE form a linear pair. If two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. It follows that angle DGF and angle FGE are supplementary. By the definition of supplementary angle, measure angle DGF plus measure angle FGE is equal to 180 degrees. Now, by substitution, we now have 180 plus the measure of angle FGE is equal to 180. Solving the equation, we have measure angle FGE is equal to 0. By the angle measurement postulate, an angle measures between 0 and 180. But since measure angle FGE is equal to 0, this means that there is no angle formed. This implies that point F is on segment DE. This contradicts the given that point F is not on segment DE. Therefore, the assumption is false. So, measure angle DGF is not equal to 180 degrees.
Now, since you already learned how to write direct and indirect proof, then it's time to get your activity sheet on this lesson and answer the given activity. Let us read the directions. Prove using direct or indirect proof as stated in each item.
Just take your time in answering the activities.
Now, if you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheets.
To end, always remember
that learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Grade 9, stay tuned and get ready for Math 9 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Hello! Welcome back mga grade 9 Mathinics!
today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tangko! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
hooray! Now, let us begin.
Last episode, you have learned how to perform addition and subtraction of radical expressions.
Now, learners, how about multiplying and dividing radical expressions? Well, stay tuned and get prepared for we will tackle another lesson, and this is all about multiplying and dividing radical expressions.
Now, let's perform multiplication of radical expressions. First, we have multiplying radicals with one term with the same index. In order to multiply radicals with the same index, this law of radicals must be applied. Nth root of A times nth root of B is equal to the nth root of A times B. For example, multiply square root of 12x times square root of 2xy. Step 1. Since the radicals have the same index, multiply directly the radicands 12x and 2xy. 12x times 2xy is equal to 24x squared y. We now have square root of 24x squared y. Step 2. Simplify the radical. Now, find factors of 24. One of its factors must be a perfect square. The factors are 4 and 6. We now have square root of 4 times 6 times x squared times y. Simplify. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is x. We now have 2 times x times square root of 6 times y. 2 times x is 2x. 6 times y is 6y. We now have 2x times the square root of 6y. Now let us finalize our answer. Therefore, square root of 12x times square root of 2xy is equal to 2x times the square root of 6y.
Easy, right? Now how about multiplying radical expressions with more than one term? Same index. Let us have an example. Multiply the square root of 6 times the quantity of the square root of 3 plus square root of 12. Now first, we use distributive property to remove the parentheses. So we multiply the square root of 6 to all the terms inside the parentheses. So, square root of 6 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 18 plus square root of 6 times square root of 12 is equal to square root of 72. So we have square root of 18 plus square root of 72. Second, simplify the radicals if possible. Square root of 18 and square root of 72 can be simplified further since one of their factors is a perfect square. The square root of 18 can be written as square root of 9 times 2, since 9 is a perfect square. Square root of 72 can also be written as square root of 36 times 2, because 36 is a perfect square. So, we now have square root of 9 times 2 plus square root of 36 times 2. Simplifying, square root of 9 is equal to 3, and square root of 36 is equal to 6. So we can write this as 3 square root of 2 plus 6 square root of 2. Next, add or subtract similar or like radicals. In this case, 3 square root of 2 and 6 square root of 2 are similar radicals. To combine, we have 3 plus 6 is equal to 9. Therefore, the product of square root of 6 times the quantity of square root of 3 plus square root of 5 is equal to 9 square root of 2. Do you get it? Good!
Now, let us proceed to division of radical expressions. For example, square root of 15 divided by square root of 6x. To divide the radicals, rationalize the denominator by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by a radical that will get rid of the radical in the denominator. Now, since the denominator is a square root, then just multiply the given radical expression by the denominator. We now have square root of 15 over square root of 6x into x. Square root of 6x times square root of 6x is equal to square root of 36x squared. Step 3. Simplify the radicals. Square root of 90x can be simplified into square root of 9 times 10 times x. Square root of 9 is equal to 3. We now have 3 square root of 10x. For square root of 36x squared, square root of 36 is 6. Square root of x squared is x. Therefore, square root of 36x squared is equal to 6x. We now have 3 square root of 10x over 6x. Step 4. Reduce the fraction in its simplest form, if possible. In this case, 3 times square root of 10x over 6x can be reduced to its simplest form. We now have 3 over 6 is equal to 1/2. We now have 1 square root of 10x over 2x. And it is equal to square root of 10x over 2x. Therefore, square root of 15 divided by square root of 6x is equal to square root of 10x over 2x. Complicated? No!
Now, since you already learned how to multiply and divide radical expressions, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activity. Let us read the directions. Simplify the following radical expressions.
Take your time in answering the activity.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheet.
To end, always remember that our life is like math. At this time of pandemic, we must add patience and happiness, subtract hatred and anger,
Multiply hope and divide love for everyone to share. Grade 10 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 10 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone! Welcome back mga grade 10 Mathematics!
Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics.
Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo,
Ang Tagko! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo?
hooray! Now, let us begin!
Last episode, we already illustrated seconds, tangent, segment, and sectors of a circle.
Now learners, stay tuned and bear with us today for we will tackle another new lesson and this is all about center radius form of the equation of a circle.
Now, let's start with the standard form of the equation of the circle. The standard form, also known as the center radius form of the equation of the circle, is given by the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared is equal to r squared, with the center being at the point hk and the radius of r units. The values of h and k indicate that the circle is translated h units horizontally and k units vertically from the origin.
Now, there are two ways in finding the equation of a circle given center and radius. First is when the center of the circle is at the origin. If the center of the circle is at the origin of the coordinate plane, the equation is given by x squared plus y squared equals r squared, where r is the radius as illustrated in the figure. Now, let us have an example about the center radius form of the equation of a circle. Write the center radius form of the equation of a circle given the center at the origin and the radius of 11 units. Now let's take a look at the solution. First, we identify the center and the radius of the circle. The center and the radius are given in the problem. Therefore, the center is at the point 0, 0 or in the origin. And the radius is equal to 11 units. Next, find the equation of the circle by substituting the coordinates of the center represented by hk and the value of the radius to its center radius form. The equation of the circle in center radius form is given by the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k equals r squared. Now, let us substitute the given h, which is equal to 0, and k, which is also equal to 0, and r, which is equal to 11. So to form the equation, we now have the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k equals r squared. Substituting, we now have the square of x minus 0 plus the square of y minus 0 equals 11 squared. The square of x minus 0 is equal to x squared. The square of y minus 0 is equal to y squared. The square of 11 is equal to 121. Therefore, the equation of the circle given the center at the origin and the radius of 11 is equal to x squared plus y squared equals 121.
Second way in finding the equation of a circle given its center and radius is, when the center of the circle is at the point hk, the equation becomes the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared is equal to r squared, as illustrated in the figure. Let us have an example. Find the equation of a circle in center radius form with center at 5, 3 and a radius of 4 units. First, identify the center and the radius of the circle. In the given, the center is 5, 3. The radius is 4 units. Note, the equation of the circle in center radius form is given by the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k is equal to r squared. Now, since the center is 5, 3, therefore h is equal to 5 and k is equal to 3. Now, substituting the values of h, k, and r in the equation, we now have the quantity of x minus 5 squared plus the quantity of y minus 3 squared is equal to 4 squared. Now simplify. 4 squared is equal to 16. We now have the quantity of x minus 5 squared plus the quantity of y minus 3 squared is equal to 16. Therefore, the equation of a circle in center radius form with center at 5, 3 and a radius of 4 units is the quantity of x minus 5 squared plus the quantity of y minus 3 squared is equal to 16.
Easy, right? Now, we will continue learning as we will proceed to writing the equation in the center radius form into general form of a circle and vice versa. Circle equations are often found in general form as x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers. In order to understand better the ways to write the equation in a circle in either the standard form and or the general form, the discussions are divided into two parts. First, writing the equation of a circle form, the center radius or standard form, to the general form. This means that we are writing from the equation the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k equals r squared into x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c equals 0. Now, let us have an example. Write the equation of the circle, the square of x plus 2 plus the square of y minus 1 equals 81 in its general form. First step, we expand or simplify the equation. The square of x plus 2 plus the square of y minus 1 equals 81. Take note that you can use the technique on multiplying square of binomials or simply use the FOIL method. Now, using this technique, the square of x plus 2 plus the square of y minus 1 equals 81 can be expanded into the quantity of x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus the quantity of y squared minus 2y plus 1 equals 81. Notice that the equation of a circle has both x squared and y squared terms having the same coefficient, which is equal to 1. Next, transform the equation into the general form. We now write it into the general form by combining the same terms and equating it to 0. So we now have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 2y plus 4 plus 1 minus 81 equals 0. Combining like terms, the equation can be simplified now into x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 2y minus 76 equals 0. Do you get it?
Great! Now, how about writing the equation of the circle from the general form to the center radius form or standard form? Let us have an example. Write x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 10y plus 18 is equal to 0 into the center radius form of the equation of a circle. First step, group the x and y terms on the left-hand side of the equation. In order to properly create squared terms, the coefficient of the x squared and y squared terms must be equal to 1. Now to group the x and y terms, we now have the quantity of x squared minus 6x plus the quantity of y squared minus 10y plus 18 is equal to 0. Step 2. Now to isolate the x and y terms in the left side of the equation, we now apply addition property of equality. So this becomes the quantity of x squared minus 6x plus the quantity of y squared minus 10y is equal to negative 18. Next step, complete the square for the x and y groups. First, complete the square for the x group. Making this x group a perfect square trinomial, we take the coefficient of the middle term, negative 6x, and divide by 2 and simply square the result. Negative 6 divided by 2 is equal to negative 3. Squaring negative 3, that is equal to 9. Now, let us add the result to the x group. We now have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Next, we complete the square for the y group. We take the coefficient of the middle term and divide by 2 and simply square the result. The coefficient is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 2 is equal to negative 5. Squaring negative 5, that is equal to 25. Next, we add the result to the y group. We now have y squared minus 10y plus 25. Finalizing the result, this becomes the quantity of x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus the quantity of y squared minus 10y plus 25 is equal to negative 18 plus blank plus blank. Step 4, add the numbers that were added to the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the equation. Now, since we add positive 9 in the x group and positive 25 in the y group, we now have the quantity of x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus the quantity of y squared minus 10y plus 25 is equal to negative 18 plus 9 plus 25. Negative 18 plus 9 plus 25 is equal to positive 16. We now have the quantity of x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus the quantity of y squared minus 10y plus 25 is equal to 16. Last step, simplify by factoring. The factor for the perfect square trinomial x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to the quantity of x minus 3 squared. The factor of the perfect square trinomial y squared minus 10y plus 25 is equal to the quantity of y minus 5 squared. Now, to transform 16 as r squared, this becomes 4 squared. Since 4 squared is equal to 16, we now have the quantity of x minus 3 squared plus the quantity of y minus 5 squared is equal to 4 squared. Therefore, the center radius form of the general form x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 10y plus 18 is equal to 0 is the quantity of x minus 3 squared plus the quantity of y minus 5 squared is equal to 4 squared. Do you get it?
Great! Now, how about identifying the center and the radius given the equation of a circle? Now, let us have an example. Find the center and the radius of the circle Given the previous equation, x squared plus y squared equals 16. First step, we write the x group, y group, and the constant as a perfect squares. Then ensure that the values of h and k are subtracted from x and y respectively. So now, let us write it in the form the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k equals the square of r. The x squared plus y squared equals 16 would now be equal to the square of x minus 0 plus the square of y minus 0 equals the square of 4. Then, let us identify the values of h, k, and r. In the given equation, the value of h is equal to 0. The value of k is equal to 0. And the value of r is equal to 4. Therefore, the center which is represented by hk is equal to 0, 0. And the radius, or r, is equal to 4. Complicated?
No! Now, since you already learned the center radius of the equation of the circle, then it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities.
Let us read the directions. Fill in the blanks of step-by-step solutions to get the correct equation. Decode the name of a mathematician by determining the center and the radius of each equation of a circle below, and then write the corresponding letter on the box containing the coordinates of the center and the radius.
Just take your time in answering the activities.
If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheets.
To end, always remember
That learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere.
good luck and God bless everyone!
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's time. We learn all things. It's very fun, masaya. Tangkub lang.
Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Addition of multiplication, subtraction of ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na magpipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na magpipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na. ipipina, ipipina. Edukasyon sa pagpapakatao ang kailangan ng mundo upang matutong pakikipagkapwa-tao, mabuti ang loob at maginoo. Mag-aral na tayo ng ESP, ESP, ESP. Mag-aral na tayo ng ESP, ESP. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta. English way. Mapina, mag-aral na sa ating kultura. Mga sariling musika, may arts at PE pa. Okay, saya, sayang kumanta. Halika na, humanda na dahil mapina, umawit at gumuhit-guhit. Mag-exercise, pampalakas. O kay saya ng buhay estudyante, lalo na kung tayo'y mapina, mag-aral na sa ating kultura. Mga sariling musika, may arts at PE pa. Okay, saya, sayang kumanta. Halika na, humanda na dahil mapina, umawit at gumuhit-guhit. Mag-exercise, pampalakas. O kay saya ng buhay estudyante, lalo na kung tayo'y mapina.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. Of course, we are live today via DepEd Tayotango Facebook page and Astral Academy Facebook page. And today is Tuesday, and pag Tuesday, yes, kami ang inyong makauban this afternoon. Again, I am Miss Alvin Reva, and this afternoon, I have a special partner. Yes, he is other than...
I am Jade Mark Abapo, and welcome learners to our Quarter 2 Week 7 of Astral Academy Facebook Live. And since today is Tuesday, so it is Mathematics Day.
Right, so welcome mga Mathenics. Alright, so Sir Jade, magpadayon kita later after a short break. Again, this is
Astral Academy Cyber School. And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. Okay, so ato ang ilista ang ato ang second attendance marker nga makita na ninyo sa ibabaw sa screen. So Ma'am LV, atong nang sugdan ang ato ang first topic for today for grade 7.
Right.
With the competency, uses, models, and algebraic methods to find the product of two binomials, product of the sum and difference of two terms, square of a binomial, cube of a binomial, and a product of a binomial and a trinomial.
Right, alright. So, yes, Sir Jade. So, ubay-ubay gid ang ato ang makatunan karon this afternoon with the grade 7 topic. Okay, so, yes, we will be dealing with special products. Ano gitawag nato sa special products, Sir Jade?
It is a mathematical term in which factors are combined to form products. It is called special because they do not need long solutions.
That's right.
And there are different types of special products. First is the product of two binomials. Second, product of the sum and difference of two terms. Third one is square of binomial. Fourth one is a cube of binomial. And the fifth one is a product of binomial and trinomial.
That is right. So again, Sir Jade, gitawag nato siya special products because it does not need long solutions. Okay, so we have the properties man nga gamito nato for using or multiplying special products. But here, it's called, special products because there is a method, a shorter way on how to find their product, right? So first, mag-start kita, Sir Jade, sa product of two binomials. Okay, so review lang, Sir Jade. If we talk about binomial, it is a polynomial with
two
terms. All right. So the first case that we have is a product of two binomials. Basically, pag mag-multiply tag duha ka binomials, Sir Jade, we are actually using the distributive property, right?
Okay.
Now, it is part of the special product because there is a method wherein we can use to find the product a shorter way. And that what is that? Gitawag na to na siyang foil method. Unsa gina meaning sa foil method, Sir Jade? Di ba ang F na gina meaning F-O-I-L. Ang F stands for first terms. That's right. So, mag-follow ta. Foil stands for, ang F stands for first, ang O stands for outer, I stands for inner, and L stands for our last terms. All right. So, let us have an example on how to find the product of two binomials. Okay, so first example that we have is if we have here x minus 6 multiplied by x minus 2. So basically, Sir Jade, gagamit ang distributive property ani Sir no? If we're going to use the distributive property where we have to multiply the first term to each term on the other parenthesis or the other polynomial. But para mas dali and dili maglibog ang atong mga learners, here comes the FOIL method. And again, para sa atong modeling, pwede ta mo gamit ani Sir Jade. So we have here F. Again, unsa ganing F, Sir Jade? First terms. So basically, tan-awon nato ang ato ang given polynomials. The first terms that we have here is we have the x and the x. Pasabot, mao na itong unang i-multiply. So that means, f, we have here x times x. Again, first, primero. Diba? So, ang primero nga, terms sa first polynomial, sa first binomial, and the primero nga term sa atong second binomial. So, therefore, we have now x times x. And what is x times x? Right, it is equal to x squared. Next, since we're done with the F, next we proceed to the O. O stands for outer. So, just like here, in our setting here, ahang man itong outer, gawas, di ba, Sir Jade? So, pwede ta, ahang a corner. But here, in our binomials, the outer, ahang may mas gawa, ahang may mga gawas ani. So, we have here, right, this x and negative 2. So, therefore, we have to multiply these terms. X times negative 2. That is right. Okay, so what is x times negative 2?
That is
negative
2x.
That's right. All right, so we're done with the F, the O, and now let's proceed to the I. I stands for inner. So if x and negative 2 are the outer terms, asa man tong inner? Inner means sulod, right? So therefore, our inner terms here are, that's right, negative 6 and positive x. So let's multiply, Sir Jade. Negative 6 times positive x. Negative 6 times positive x is equal to?
Negative 6x.
That's right, negative 6x. Okay, so we're almost done. The last one is L. L stands for last terms. Okay, so if si x and si x are first, so unsa itong mga last? We have, that's right, negative 6 and negative 2. So let's multiply. Negative 6 times negative 2 is equal to, right, positive 12. All right, so we're done. F, we're done with the first, the outer, the inner, and the last. Okay, so what is now our product? As you can see, we have here x squared minus 2x minus 6x and positive 12. But before we write our final answer, make sure that all the answers here nakakombine na ang mga like terms. So let's check if naapay like terms. Do we have like terms here? Right. The outer and the inner. The product of the outer and the inner terms. We have the negative 2x and negative 6x. Again, when we say like terms, these are terms having same literal coefficient. So, kay same man sila literal coefficients here, we have the x and the x. So, therefore, like terms sila. And in that case, we can combine these two. So, let's combine. Negative 2x plus negative 6x, that is equal to?
Negative 8x.
That is right. It's negative 8x. And so, in that case, napabatay laing like terms na pwede makombine, Sir Jade?
Wala na.
Wala na.
Yes.
So therefore, we are now ready for our final product. So x minus 6 multiplied by x minus 2 would be equal to x squared
minus
8x plus
12.
All right. So that is how we multiply binomials. Okay, so again, it's part of the special products because there is a shorter way, okay, on how to solve product of binomials. So, maski pa og unsa na din ha, as long as it is binomial multiplied to binomial. Because FOIL cannot be used if dili na siya binomial, Sir Jade, no?
Okay.
So, if trinomial na siya, multiplied by binomial, or trinomial multiplied by monomial, we cannot use the FOIL method. Yes.
Hindi na applicable ang FOIL method.
That's right. Okay, so again, FOIL method can only be used if we're going to multiply binomials. Okay, so that's it. Now let's proceed to the second special product. So Jade, what is our second special product?
X plus 2 times x minus 2.
Okay, our special product, the second special product that we will have is the product of sum and difference of two terms. That is right. Okay, so Sir Jade, unsay pattern nato sa pag-solve gani ana Sir Jade? We have there, sum and difference of two terms are two binomials with the same terms but differ in operation signs. Okay, so one is addition and the other one is subtraction. So basically, if we have to model that one, mag-multiply daw tag binomials, sum and difference. That means they have the same terms, but they only differ in the operation. So the other one is, of course, sum, that is plus, and the other one is difference, of course, that is minus. So, Sir Jade, if that's the case, gitawag ni sa special product because the product of the sum and difference of two terms is just equal to the square of the first term, Sir Jade, minus the square of our second term. So even if you're going to check there at home, even if you're going to multiply this one using the distributive property just to check if the product is really equal to a squared minus b squared, then you are very free to do that. All right, so here, let's have examples. Okay, so if we have here x plus 2, x minus 2, first example. So, inaanyang itsura sa sum and difference of two terms, no? Same sila. First term, they have x. The second terms, we have 2, but they only differ in the operation. So, the other one is plus, the other one is minus. So, simple lang kaayo. If that's the case, again, ang sa ganit pattern, Sir Jade, we just have to square the first minus square the second. So, let's do that. Okay, in our example, x plus 2 multiplied to x minus 2. Let's do it. Square the first. So, we have here x as our first. So, that would be
x squared.
X squared. That's right. Minus. Let's square the second term. What is our second term, Sir Jade? It's 2.
2.
So, the second term, the square of the second term is 2 squared. And 2 squared is equal to?
Positive 4.
It's 4. Okay? So, therefore, the product of x plus 2 and x minus 2 is equal to x squared minus 4. So, as easy as that. Let us have another example. Okay? So, what about we have here 3x plus 1 and 3x minus 1. So, as you can see, they have the same terms, but they differ in operation. The other one is plus and the other one is minus. If that's the case, no need for us to use the distributive property na ato pang i-multiply, i-distribute si 3x, i-multiply kada each term sa parenthesis. All we have to do is use the model. The model is just equal to the square of the first and square of the second term. So let's square the first term, Sir Jade. The first term that we have here is 3x. So that means we have to square 3x. And what is 3x squared, Sir Jade? That is equal to 9x squared. That is right. And if we're going to square the second term 1. Sorry, we forgot to write 1 here. 1 squared, that means 1 times 1. And 1 squared is equal to 1. So therefore, the product is 9x squared minus 1. So that's it. As simple as that. Again, it's called special products because it does not require long solution. So, unsa tong buhaton? Always remember lang ang pattern. Alright? So, if we're going to multiply again sum and difference of two terms, again, pareha sila og first og second terms. It's just equal to the square of the first minus the square of the second. You can check it at home using the distributive property. Alright? So, I hope nasabtan. So, again, i-square lang nato si first minus i-square si second. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, we're daghan-daghan pa tong hisgutan, Sir Jay.
Yes.
The third one is?
The square of a binomial. So, it is a binomial with an exponent of 2. So, na-example din nakabutang x plus 2 squared, 2m minus 1 squared, and 3s minus 2 squared.
Alright, so square of a binomial. Kung ato lang siyang literally nga sabton, no? Square of a binomial. That means if we're going to write it in a model, we can have here a plus b binomial tas ato siyang i-square. So pasabot, the quantity of A plus B would be equal to A plus B times A plus B. So, gi-multiply niya itself. Alright? So, in that case, unsa ato ang modeling ani Sir Jay? If we're going to square a binomial, all we have to do is, the first term is just the square of the first term of a binomial. So, in that case, the first term na to diri is A, pasabot, the first term of their product is A squared. And what is next? The second term is just twice, meaning kaduhaon. Twice the product of the first and the second term. So in that case, this would be twice, so that means 2 times A times B. Okay, that is our pattern. Next is, and the last term for our product is just the square of the second term of the binomial. So in that case, if we're going to square B, that would be B squared. Alright? So again, you can check using the distributive property. But dili na tano. Okay, anyway, nakita naman natin sa itong video lesson. So let us have more examples this time. Okay, so let us have an example applying this special product. So if we have here the square of x plus 2. So as you can see, this is a square of a binomial x plus 2. So again, there's no need for us to use a distributive property. All we have to do is follow the pattern. Okay, again, the pattern is, it is just equal to the square of the first term plus twice the product of the first and the second term. And lastly, it is equal to the square of the second term. So let's apply that one. All right, so what is our first term here, Sir Jade? We have here x. That's right. So we're using our pattern here. We now have x as our first term, then squared. Right? All right. So the second term or the next term would be plus 2 kay twice man the product of A and B. What is our first term here? We have x. That's right. And our second term here is
2.
That's right. It's 2. Okay, so we now have plus 2 times x times 2. And the last term is just the square of our second term. And our second term here is
2.
Therefore, we have 2 squared. That's right. Okay, so let's simplify. X squared is x squared. Now, what is 2 times x times 2? That's right. It is 4x. Positive 4x. And 2 squared is equal to
4.
That's right, because 2 squared means 2 times 2, and that is equal to
4.
So, do we have like terms to combine? Wala na. So, therefore, the product of the square of x plus 2 is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. Again, you can check it using the distributive property. So, gitawag gini siya special product kay instead nga i-break down ni mo na si x plus 2 kay di ba duha kabok x plus 2, that means x plus 2 multiplied to x plus 2. Using the distributive is you mag-multiply bit ani di ba Sir Jade? X times x times plus 2. The next one is si 2 na pod times x times 2. So it's quite longer. Compare sa gamit ani nga pattern, we just have to follow the model. Alright? So again, it's called special products kay naagid siya shorter way on how to find the product. Alright, we have here next, Sir Jade.
Okay, so cube of binomial. It is a binomial with an exponent of 3. And then there are examples here. We have a plus 1 cube, m minus 3 cube, 2b plus 2 cube, and d squared minus 2 cube.
That is right. Okay, so again, from the word itself, cube of a binomial. When we talk about cube, what's again exponent and Sir Jade? 3, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, si, dili na siya square. So si a plus b, nag-raise na siya og power of 3. So this is a cube of a binomial. So again, a cube of a binomial is a binomial with an exponent of 3. So let us have an example. Okay, so we have here a plus 1 cube. Alright, then how are we going to solve this? Of course, we have its pattern, okay? Here is the model. So, if we're going to cube a binomial, so we just have to use the pattern. The first term is just equal to the cube of the first term of a binomial. So our first term here is a. So therefore, the first term of the product would now be a cube. That's right? All right. Then the second term would just be equal to, Sir Jade, thrice. Kung sa square of a binomial, di ba, twice to the product of A and the B, in a cube of a binomial is equal to thrice the product of the square. I-square pa nato siya, Sir Jade. So pasabot, this would be 3 times A squared times B. But, dili pa na siya diha mag-end because the third term would be thrice gihapon, Sir Jade, but this time, dili na pod si A ang i-square. Si B na pod.
Okay.
So therefore, this would now be A times B squared. And lastly, it's just equal to the cube of the second term. Okay? So as you can see, sayon na kay siya timan-an. Pag cube, of course, your product should be equal to 4 terms. Upat ka buo. So again, the first term is just equal to the cube of the first term. The second term of the product is just equal to thrice the square of the first term times the second term. And the third term would be thrice. Kung makita nato o si second o si third, gibali lang. Kung si second, gi-square si first, then multiplied by the second term. Si third term, si second term na pud ang gi-squared, multiplied times A, then thrice gihapon siya. And of course, lastly, is the cube of the last term, B. Alright, so let us try to answer our first example, Sir Jade. So, A plus 1 here, raised to the power of 3. So, this is a cube of a binomial. Actually, Sir Jade, kung atong gamiton ang distributive property, tulo ni kabuok A plus 1, di ba? A plus 1 times A plus 1 times A plus 1. So, basically, ang atong i-multiply una, kining duha. Then, after, the product would be multiplied to the third one, which is quite longer, right? But, if we're going to use the model, we have A cubed plus 3A squared B plus 3AB squared plus B cubed. This would now be equal to, okay, let's use our pattern, Sir Jade. Cube of the first term. So, we now have A cubed. That is right. Okay, so the second one is 3. So, thrice man, no? What is our first term?
A.
It's A. Okay. Squared. And the second term is 1. That's right. So, we just have to substitute it by 1. And then, plus 3. What is our first term again?
A.
It's A. And the second term is 1. So, therefore, this is now 1 squared plus the last second term is 1. So, we have to raise it by 3. And then, after that, let us simplify. Alright. So, A cubed would be A cubed, of course. Then, let's multiply. 3 times A squared times 1 would be
3A squared.
That's right, Sir Jade.
Yes.
3A squared.
Sakto yun akong answer, ma'am.
That is right. Plus, okay, so let's multiply. Take note that we have to square the second term, 1. 1 squared is equal to 1. That's right. So therefore, 1 times A times 3 is equal to
3A.
That's right, Sir Jade.
Yes, we didn't.
3A. And the last term would be cube of the second term of the binomial. So what is 1 cubed?
1.
That's right. 1 cubed means 1 times 1 times 1. Alright, so since we don't have any common terms to combine, therefore, this is now the product. So again, if we're going to cube a binomial, if we're going to raise a binomial by 3, we just have to follow the pattern. Again, the result is equal to 4 terms. The first term is just the cube of the first term of the binomial. Then the second term is just thrice the square of the first, the product of the square of the first and the second term. And the third term would be thrice again, but this time is square na po nimo sa second multiplied by the first. And then lastly is the cube of the second term of a binomial. So as easy as that. So dili na kay ta mo take time gid no nga mag-distributive pa, mag-multiply pa tagsa-tagsaon na tug multiply ang A plus B katuloon. Okay?
So tungod ana, Ma'am LV, love na kinako ang math.
I know that you love really math because
mas na siya sa yun nga.
That's true.
Kaya ako ang na-experience before katong yung distributive property.
Distributive property,
yes.
which takes time.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that you were exposed to this already? Because as I've heard, you were part of the Math Wizards way back high school.
Yes, that's true. And
Okay.
it is very amazing.
Okay. So, yes, it's great nga na-review ni mo, Sir Jade.
Yes.
Okay, so we are now proceed to the last special product. So, medyo hangak yun siya, Sir Jade, no? Kay,
Ako galing hangak gawin ko. Ito. Okay, so we have here solving product of binomial and trinomial. So, FOIL method cannot be used in this case since it is only applicable in getting the product of two binomials. But the distributive property can still be used in this case.
alright. So, actually, the product of binomial and trinomial, Sir Jade, is depende sa case. So, dili siya applicable sa tanan. Why? Because we have to check first if the given trinomial is equal to these, okay? So, we have to take note of this, learners. So, multiplying a trinomial by binomial can only be applied in this case. So, the first thing inyong tanawin is the first term of the trinomial is the square of the first term of the binomial, okay? Then second, the second term of the trinomial is the negative of the product of the first term and the second term of the binomial. And lastly, the last term should be the square of the second term of the binomial. So let us have an example, Sir Jade, para mas makita nila unsa
Okay.
unsa itsura para ma-apply na to si product of a binomial and a trinomial.
trinomial.
Okay. So just like this one, Sir Jade. Okay. So we have here x plus 2 multiplied by x squared minus 2x plus 4. So as you can see, before nimo siya gamitan ang model, because actually, Sir Jade, medyo taas siya tanawon. But you know what? The product of this is very short.
Oh.
It's just equal to a binomial. Yes, but you have to make sure lang yun nga imong i-check ang trinomial if it fits or suit to this case. So just like this one, x plus 2 multiplied by x squared minus 2x plus 4. In this case, Sir Jade, tanawon nato kung sa iyang gi-multiply nga trinomial, the first term is the square of the first. Okay? I-check ni mo na. And then the second term of the trinomial is the negative of the product of these two. So just like this one, the middle term is negative 2x. Right, this is the negative of the product of the first and the second, right? Because x times 2 is 2x. And the negative of that is negative 2x. So that should be the middle term of the trinomial. And lastly, the third term of a trinomial is equal to the square of the second term of a binomial. So if that's the case, all we have to do, Sir Jade, is just to cube the first term. So this would be x cubed plus multiply it, the first and the second. Actually, Sir Jade, maura gyud ni ang product.
Nganong kana na lang man, ma'am. Taas man kaayon.
Yes, that
Gusto
is
ko
right.
makabalo, ma'am.
Okay, so again, ang ato lang i-check again. Actually, I can show it to you the distributive property, Sir Jade, para mas ma-prove gyud sa imo nga yes, it's just equal to this binomial.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
just equal to the product of the first and the product of the last terms.
Makashock yun siya, ma'am. Promise.
Yes, no? So it's quite shocking. Kitaas ko no kay ang given. But actually, di ba sa MTOP, Sir Jade, when you were still part of the Math Wizard way back high school, di ba na may kanang seconds lang, tapos you have to find the product?
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Alright. So,
Yes.
pag inana ang case, you just have to multiply the first and the last terms. Nga naman na siya nahitabo, Sir Jade. Okay, so, pero i-apply ni mo rin siya, make sure nga ang trinomial is the first term should be the square of this, and the second term is the negative of the product of these two, and the last term is the square of the second one. But if na di isa, nga dili mo satisfy ana, Sir Jade, let us say this one is not the negative of the product of the two, so you cannot apply this as your answer. Okay? So dili na siya special product. Okay, so you can actually check it. X times x squared, that is x cubed, using the distributive property, just to show to you that this is just really equal to the product of this. And the next one is negative 2x squared. Let's just make it quick. x times 4, that is 4x. And our marker is not working anymore, plus 2x squared. Then we have here negative 4x, and then we have here positive 8. So as you can see, we have like terms here, but it's additive inverse, opposite operations, right? And if you're going to combine the two, this is just equal to 0, right? The positive 4x and the negative 4x. So as you can see, ang mabilin na ginato, Sir Jade, is just the product of the first terms and the product of the last terms. So in ana lang kadali.
Ingana siya kasayon.
Yes.
Di
So
kita magkalisod ana niya.
yes. Medyo nagtalk ra kay kog paspas, so balikon nato, no? Product of a binomial and a trinomial is just equal to the product of the first terms and the last terms if, again, you are multiplying a binomial and a trinomial, which the trinomial is the square of the first, and the middle term is the negative of the product of these two, and the last term is the square of the second term. Kung inana nga case, dili na kamo gamit og long method, all you have to do is multiply those terms. Okay? So it's just equal to x cubed plus 8. So, that's it's very comprehensive ang ato ang competency for grade 7, Sir Jade, no?
Even ako na daghan nakatunan, ma'am.
Yes.
Nga akong mga nangalimtan na nako sa una katong pag-apil ako MTAP.
Oh. Okay, so let's have a short recap lang kay medyo taas to direct. Can we have a short recap on the different types of special products? Okay, so again, first we have the product of two binomials. So again, pag mag-multiply tag binomials, we can use FOIL method. Again, FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and then last. And then after that, if naapay terms na pwede ma-combine, then ato siyang i-combine. The second one is the product of the sum and difference of two terms. So in that case, usa ga itsura ani Sir Jade, sum and difference man. So pareha sila pero different ang
operation.
Very good, different ang operation.
So
ang isa is plus, ang isa is
minus.
So ang pattern na to ana, ang answer is just equal to the square of the first minus the square of the second. That's right, Sir Jade. And the third one, Sir Jade, is
square of binomial.
okay, so unsa ganitong pattern aning square of binomial? This is just equal to the square of the first term plus twice the product of the first and the second plus the square of the second. All right? So timan-an lang nato ang ato ang modeling. And then the fourth one is cube of a binomial. So ang answer ani pila gi kabok terms, Sir Jade? 4
terms.
That's right. Okay, so kay cube man no, gi-raise na to siya og 3. So it's just equal to the cube of the first term plus thrice the square of the first, then multiplied by the second, plus thrice the first term, and
then
square of the second.
term.
That's right. Plus
Cube of the last.
That is right.
Okay.
So I hope, Sir Jane, our learners also learn that too.
Yes.
Okay, as fast as you do. So, and the last one is the product of a binomial and a trinomial. So kailangan lang na kini siya nga special product is ano siya, dapat i-check gud nato, okay, ang trinomial. Kay dili tanang product sa binomial o trinomial ma-apply nato ning ni kadali. That's right. So you have to check the trinomial if this fits. Negative ang middle term, then square si first o si second. Alright, so I hope you learned a lot this afternoon, grade 7 learners. So we will be right back after a short break. Again, this is
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Ipipina, 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 ipipina. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, so kaganina Sir Jade na humana tas tong grade 7 nga topic. Well, this afternoon, this time let us now have our grade 8 mathematics. Okay, so Sir Jade, what is our competency?
Okay, so writes a proof, both direct and indirect.
Okay, so we have to write a proof both direct and indirect. So last episode, Sir Jade, we actually discussed on the different types of reasoning. So naatay dito'y deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. But this time, let's now have the proof. So okay, let's have a recap first. Unsa may pasabot sa proof, or what is a proof?
Okay,
Sir
so
Jade.
a proof is a logical argument in which each statement you make is supported, justified by the given information, definitions, axioms, postulates, theorems, and previously proven statements. And also, proofs can be written in different ways.
Okay, so muna na siya, Sir Jade. Since it's written in two different ways, what are these two different ways? We have here the direct proof and the indirect proof. So let's start with the direct proof first. Okay, so to perform a direct proof, you take the original conditional statement. Okay, so we assume that P, or the hypothesis, is true, and then show that Q is the conclusion is also true. And then in other words, we start from P, and we think of everything that is possible and true from it until we reach Q. So basically, pag direct proof, Sir Jade, atong proving is we have to start with the given statement, or that is the hypothesis. And we have to think step-by-step process wherein we have to think all the possible cases nga mo support adto until such time nga moabot na sa tong conclusion. That proves also that our conclusion is also true. So, ang very basic for our direct proof, Sir Jade, is what we call the two-column proof. Okay, so it's very basic. Kay mo man yung ginagamit sa ato ang junior high school and even in senior high school in their mathematics. Okay, so pag ingat ang two-column proof, Sir Jade, I'm sure we are very familiar with this because it's a statement and reason. So, 2 column, mo siyang duha ka column nga na statement, na reason. So, if it, again, in creating a 2-column proof, we write all the series of statements in the first column of the table in logical order. So, starting with the given statements and ends with the statement that needs to be proven. So, mo to tong giingon at kaganina Sir Jade, nga ang direct proof is we have to start good with the given statement and we end with the
reason.
Statement na gusto nato i-prove. Okay? So, just like here, our example. Direct, can we show it to the screen? Okay, so that is an example of a 2-column proof. So, it is a step-by-step. So, as you can see here, Sir Jade, we have here the figure. And it given measure of angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle TER. So, we have to prove that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. So, as you can see in the proof, Sir Jade, this is the direct proof. We start with the given statement. Measure of angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle TER. Again, the reason is, of course, given. And so on. So, as you can see from statements 2 to 5, this supports from our given statement, which is measure of angle SEP is equal to the measure of angle TER. Okay, so we have there from the angle addition postulate. Then, lastly, as you can see in the last statement, Sir Jade, mo na itong gustong i-prove, di ba? Gusto itong i-prove that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. So, that would be the end of the proof, okay? The measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. Reason, the subtraction property. So, again, basically, when we talk about direct proof, we start with the given statement and end with the statement that needs to be proven. Okay? So, makita na to ang difference sa indirect proof. Sir Jade, what do we mean by indirect proof?
It is a method of reasoning usually written in paragraph form. The opposite of the statement to be proven is assumed true until the assumption leads to contradiction.
Okay. So, actually, nakita na nimo difference, Sir Jade. When we talk about indirect proof, sa katong direct proof ka ganina, Sir Jade, we start with the given statement and end with the statement katong conclusion. Sa atong indirect proof is opposite. Okay. Opposite siya, Sir Jade.
Of course.
Nga naman, nag-start ta sa
katong last?
Yes, that's right. We started with the last one, katong gusto nimo i-prove. And then the supporting from adto and end na dayon. Kung na ay assumption nga mo contradict na adto, that proves that the given statement is true, or that shows that na-prove na ito ang given statement. So, here are the steps to follow proving indirectly. So, first is we have there, assume the opposite of the conclusion. So, let us say, if the given statement is, let us prove that Sir Jade Mark is guwapo. So, sa prove nimo, sa imong proving is baliho na to. Let us say that Sir Jade Mark is not guwapo. Okay? Basically, si indirect proof is a paragraph form. Magamit nato ni siya actually, Sir Jade. Dili kay nato siya makita sa proving when sa atong junior high school math and senior high school math. Basically, makita nato sa mga higher mathematics kato mga set theory, kay naka-paragraph form
sa senior high school na asa na siya.
Yeah, that's right, because we have a higher mathematics in senior high school. Okay, so the first one is we assume the opposite. Okay, so the second one is proceed as if this assumption is true to find the contradiction. So in that case, take the statement as true and then solve. Then lastly, once there is a contradiction, pag naan mo contradict adto, the original statement now is proven, and that shows that it is true. So direct, can we show an example for the indirect proof? Okay, so as you can see in our example, we have here points D, G, and E are collinear with G. So, collinear points katong nag-lie sila in one line, Sir Jade. Okay, so between D and E. So, given also that point F is not on DE. As you can see on the figure, naasa gawa si DE, but it's connected with the G. Here is the problem. We have to prove that the measure of angle DGF is not equal to 180 degrees. Okay, actually, kini nga problem, Sir J, di ba, pag collinear, pag 3 points collinear, basically, 180 degrees gid na siya. So, gipakita din nga problem nga kung yung point is out from the collinear points, gawas siya sa linya.
It means dili siya equal to 180.
That's right. Dili siya mo equals 180. So, mo na itong i-prove. Tanawa gani ang ihang proving statement, Sir Jade. Nag-start siya sa assume that the measure of angle DGF is equal to 180 degrees. So, unsa inyo nabantayan? So, from the given problem that we have to prove that measure of angle DGF is not equal to 180 degrees, in indirect proof, we have to assume the opposite. So, we start with the proof na assume na to that measure of angle DGF is equal to 180 degrees. Mo ni kalainan sa direct. Because sa direct kaganina, we started the proof with a given statement and ends with the statement that needs to be proven. Pero sa indirect proof, we started the opposite. Nag-start na sa, gi-assume na to nga ang atong i-prove is mali. Mo na siya indirect proof. And as you can see there, we have there supporting statements. It's in paragraph form that supports that the measure of angle DGF is really equal to 180 degrees. And as you can see on the last two statements there, naanay contradiction nga nahitabo.
Yes.
By the angle measurement postulate, an angle measures between 0 and 180. But since measure of angle FGE is equal to 0, this means that there is no angle form. So wala ko na yung angle nga na forma. This implies that F is on DE. As you can see, that statement pa lang, Sir Jade, this implies that F is on segment DE, but it's on the given. Balik na sa itong given. Point F is not on DE. That contradicts the given. So in that case, since naamay nag-contradicts, then the given that F is not on DE, therefore the assumption is false. And in that case, since false na itong assumption, we can now therefore conclude that the measure of angle DGF is not equal to 180 degrees. Okay,
Alright,
so inado lang siya, Sir Jade,
Nanapod
no?
tayo learnings no nga at nga nakuha karon about sa
Proving. O sige,
the direct and the indirect.
Okay, so if we're going to recap, Sir Jade Mark, sa gay difference ani kalainan si direct ug si indirect proof, very clear kaganina.
Si direct proof, of course, mag-start siya sa given.
That's right.
And then
support step by
step is, yes, until met ang katong ma-prove siya.
That's right.
And then the indirect is
start
mag-start ta sa
with
katong atuang sa last part.
Assumption.
Atuang
Assumption.
opposite siya. For
That
example,
is
katong
right.
ganiha nga
If guwapo si Sir Jade Mark,
then ang atuang ibutang is
assume that
dili ko gwapo. Mo na siya
indirect
indirect para
proof.
at least ma-prove siya.
mas maano man gud sa mga learners, mas matimanan nila kung lahi atong ihatag na
yes.
dili kaayo mathematically. Okay, so I hope that you learn grade 8 learners the direct proof and indirect proof. Okay, so we will be right back after a short break. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School. And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alright, so Sir Jade, humana ta sa itong grade 7 and grade 8 lesson kaganina. This time, let us have our grade 9 lesson or topic for this week. Okay, Sir Jade, what would be our competency for this week?
Perform operations on radical expressions, multiplication and division of radical expressions.
Yes, actually, naatay 4 operations for radical expressions. And since we're done with addition and subtraction of radical expressions last episode, so this afternoon we'll be focusing on the multiplication and division of radical expressions. Okay, Sir Jade, recap lang or review lang gamay. So what do we mean by a radical expression?
It is an expression containing the symbol called radical sign. And in the radical, n is called the index or order, which indicates the degree of the radical, such as square root, cube root, and fourth root. A
to the power of
m is called the radicand, which is a number or expression inside the
Radical symbol.
symbol. And m is a power or exponent of
A
the
radicand.
radicand.
Okay, so basically, ang kanang number nga makita nato sa gawa sa radical symbol, that is what we call the index. And kanang atong symbol nga mura og division, that is what we call a radical sign. And the number inside the radical sign is called a radicand. Okay, so mao lang na siya ang, where is our eraser, Sir Jade? Overview about a radical expression. All right, so this time, let us focus on the multiplication of radical expressions. Okay, so let's have, okay, direct and we show it to them, the symbol and how are going, or the law of radicals that we'll be using in multiplying radical expressions. Okay, so we have there, the nth root of A multiplied by the nth root of B is just equal to the nth root of the product of A and B. So as you can see, pag mag-multiply ka og expression nga same sila og index, all we have to do is copy. Our product would be having a same index nga radical sign, and it's equal to the product of the A and the B, or the two radicands of the two given. Alright, so okay, so let us have an example. If we have here the cube root of 9 times the cube root, okay, cube root of 3. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, using our law of radicals, if we're multiplying same index, all we have to do is copy the same index and then multiply their radicands. So if we have here cube root of 9 multiplied by the cube root of 3, this is just equal to the cube root, same gihapon, multiply their radicands. 9 times 3 is equal to 27. Alright, so 9 times 3 is equal to 27. But make sure that your answer must be in simplest form. Pasabot, dili na gid siya ma-simplify. So in this case, if we the product is cube root of 27, pasabot, let's make sure or i-check sa gid nato nga dili na ni ma-simplify si cube root of 27. But I guess, Sir J, the cube root of 27 can be simplified. Naabatay number nga i-multiply nato itself 3 times. The result would be 27. Yes, naa. And what number is that?
9.
It is equal to 3. 3. If you're going to multiply 3 times, that is equal to, sakto diba? If you're going to multiply 3 times, that is equal to 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is equal to 9.
3 is equal to 27.
9. Or, where's our eraser, Sir Jay?
mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Addition o multiplication, subtraction o ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang
Alright, so let's continue. Again, if you're going to multiply the cube root of 9 multiplied by a cube root of 3, again, pag same index, Sir Jade, no, we just have to copy the same index and multiply their radicands. We have here 9 times 3 is equal to 27. And make sure that our answer should be in simplest form. And as we can see, cube root of 27 can still be simplified. And that would be a number nga i-multiply na to 3 times. It is equal to 27, and that is equal to 3, because 3 times 3 is equal to 27. So that is now our answer. Alright, so what about if we're going to multiply kanang na ay mga coefficients, Sir Jade? Okay, so if we have here 2 square root of 10 times 5 square root of 3. Alright, so as you can see, lahi na gid siya sa ato ang example number 1, because in example number 1, we don't have coefficients or numerical coefficient. In this case, we already have 2 square root of 10 times 5 square root of 3. So how are we going to multiply this? Same gihapon siya, Sir Jade, sa atong pag-multiply sa radicals. It's just that nadungagan lang siya nga atong coefficients ato sad siyang i-multiply. So since we have here coefficient nga 2 and 5, so let's multiply the 2. 2 times 5, that is equal to 10. And again, same index man, puro man ni sila square root. Square root of 10 multiplied to square root of 3, that is equal to square root of 30. Ato lang gi-multiply si radicand 10 and si 3. 10 times 3 is equal to 30. So we now have 10 square root of 30. And again, let's check if pwede pa ba ni siya ma-simplify. Again, ang atong square root din we have here 30. So we have to check, is 30 a perfect square? Dili siya perfect square. Kung moingon tag perfect square, that means it is a number wherein you're going to multiply it by itself. Okay, so kaduha lang 2 times. Mo na siyang answer. So the example, we have here 4, because 4 is a perfect square because 2 times 2 is equal to 4. And 25 is a perfect square because 5 times 5 is equal to 25. But 30 is not, because we don't have a number wherein if we're going to multiply by itself, the result is 30, right? So if that's the case, dili siya perfect square. But we have to also to make sure nga ma-simplify si 30. So mangita po tag factors ni 30 nga ang isa is perfect square. So do we have factors of 30 nga ang isa perfect square? Factors of 30, we have 3 times 10. 3 and 10 are both not a perfect square. We also have 15 times 2. 15 and 2 are not perfect squares. Therefore, our final answer would be 10 square root of 30. So, inana gihapon siya. Maybe sa inyong activities, you could have, if wala siya na simplify, you could have medyo dili perfect score, pero pag ma-simplify, di ba, ina naman ginang teacher mo, hatagin na sila perfect score. If wala na simplify, so medyo lesser points. So we have to be careful, ha? So we have to check that our final answer must be in simplest form. Okay, so let's have another example. What if, Sir Jade, if mag-multiply ta og radicals nga mono, isa, and binomial, or meaning 2 terms. Okay, so if we have here square root of 6, do we have other markers, or Jade? Square root of 3 plus square root of 12. Okay, so as you can see here, we are going to, naka-parenthesis na siya, so we already have binomials. Yes. Okay, so in this case, same gihapon if we're going to multiply polynomials, or Jade, magamit ang distributive property. So in that case, i-multiply na to si square root of 6 by square root of 3 first, and then next to that is, of course, the square root of 6 multiplied also to square root of 12. So let's do this. since same silang index. Alright, so square root of 6 multiplied by square root of 3, that is equal to square root of 6 times 3 is equal to 18. That is right. Okay, so next, plus square root of 6 times square root of 12.
Square root of
6 times 12 is equal to
72.
72. Okay, so we now have here the product square root of 18 plus square root of 72. But take note, atong i-check yun Sir Jade nga ang kada isa nila is dili na gid siya ma-simplify. Let's check. Is 18 a perfect square? No, it's not. But we have factors nga ang isa perfect square for 18, and that is equal to 9 times 2. Okay, so therefore square root of 18 can be written as square root of 9 times square root of 2. What about the 72, Sir Jade? Do we have factors nga ang isa perfect square?
Yes, we have.
Because 72 itself is not a perfect square. But we have factors nga ang isa perfect square, and that is 36 and 2. Okay, so therefore, square root of 72 can be written as 36, square root of 36 times 2. Okay, so let's simplify. Square root of 9, we already know that 9 is a perfect square. Square root of 9 is equal to
3.
3. So therefore, this would now be turned into 3 times square root of 2 plus square root of 36 times 2. 36 is a perfect square. Square root of 36 is equal to 6. That's right. So this is now 6 square root of 2. Again, we already have here 3 square root of 2 plus 6 square root of 2. And in this case, let us review on the addition of radicals. Last episode, maka-add lang ta or maka-subtract lang tag radicals if they have same radicand and same index. Just like this. 3 square root of 2 added to 6 square root of 2, we can combine these two. Why? Because they have the same radicand 2 and they have the same index, which is square root or 2. So in that case, we can add. We can combine 3 and 6. So 3 plus 6 is equal to 9. So therefore, the product now is 9 square root of 2. So again, if you're going to multiply square root of 6 multiplied by a binomial square root of 3 plus square root of 12, it is equal to 9 square root of 2. Okay, so makita na taas kaya ang given, but the answer is just 1. Make sure lang yun, learners, ka atong isimplify ang ato ang answer. Okay? So, I hope nasabtan. Okay, so what about, Sir Jade, binomial and a binomial? Since we already have multiplied mono and bi, mono and mono, this time, let's try to multiply tagduha ka terms. Okay. Okay, pata Sir Jade. Are you enjoying the subject, Sir Jade?
Very much, Ma'am LV.
Wow, that's
why I'm
great.
listening to you.
That's great
Yes.
to hear. Okay, so let us have an example. We don't have, let's try this blue one. Okay, so we have, if we have here square root of 2 minus square root of 7, if we're going to multiply it by square root of 3 plus square root of 6. Okay, so let's try. Actually, again, it's just the same in multiplying polynomials. We can also use FOIL method here, Sir Jade. Okay, so we can use FOIL. Again, when we talk about FOIL, bago lang ito naghisgot ka ganinag FOIL. We have the first, the outer, the inner, and the last. Okay, so atong tagsa-tagsaon. So let's try the first. What are the first terms here? We have square root of 2 multiplied by square root of 3. That's right. So, ato na ni siyang padayunan. Okay? So, square root of 2 times square root of 3 is equal to, that's right, it is equal to square root of 6. And next, outer, gawas. So, we have here, outer terms would be square root of 2 times square root of 6. Okay. Square root of 2 times square root of 6 is equal to square root of square root of 12. Okay, so we have to rewrite it, Sir Jade. Kay murag dili na siya maklaro ang atong color blue nga marker. Okay, so I hope that it is now clear. Alright, So we have here first square root of 2 times square root of 3, and that is equal to square root of 6. And the outer terms, we have here square root of 2 and multiplied by square root of 6, and that is equal to square root of 12. Next, we have the inner. Take note that our inner here is negative. So it's negative square root of 7 multiplied by square root of 3. And that is equal to negative square root of 7 times 3 is equal to
21.
And our last term, Sir Jade, we have negative square root of 7 multiplied by square root of 6. And 7 times 6 is equal to negative
42.
square root of
42.
42. Okay, so let's write now the products. We have here square root of 6 plus square root of 12 minus
Square
square root of 21 minus square root of
42.
42. Alright, so let's check if we have here factors nga pwede pa mas-simplify. For square root of 6, it's not a perfect square, but we don't have other factors nga perfect square. What about the 12? We have there, yes, 4 and 3.
4 times
Okay,
3.
so we can have here
Square root of
square root of 6 plus square root of
4.
4 times 3.
Times 3.
What about the 21? 21 is not a perfect square, but let's look for factors of 21 if there is. We have 7 times 3, 7. Both 7 and 3 are not a perfect squares. So, kung wala, as is. Square root of 21.
Same
What about the
with-
42?
Same with 42.
Yes,
Wala,
because we have 6 and
6 and
7
7.
only.
Yes.
Okay, so we now have here square root of 6 plus 4 times square root of 4 times 3 minus square root of 21 minus square root of 42. Then let's simplify. Isa lang ka-term mga itong pwede ma-simplify, Sir Jade, no? So we have here square root of 6 plus square root of 4 is equal to 2. So therefore, we now have 2. Igawas na to, no, kung ma-simplify. 2 square root of 3 minus square root of 21 minus square root of 42. So this is now our product of, if you're going to multiply, square root of 2 minus square root of 7 times square root of 3 plus square root of 6. Alright, so that is all about multiplication of radicands. So let us now proceed to the division of radical expressions. Okay, so direct and we show to them the law that we're going to use in dividing radical expressions. Okay, so learners. Okay, so as you can see there, the law that we're going to apply is if we have the nth root of A over the nth root of B, that is just equal to the nth root of A over B, where B, of course, is greater than 0. Kaya para dili siya undefined. Okay, so, di ta magdugay-dugay, Sir Jade. Let's have an example. Alright, so, if we have here square root of 50 over square root of 2. So, in this case, we can again apply the law of radical that if we have the square root of 50 over square root of 2, we can write this as square root, usahon lang siya, 50 over 2. Okay? So, nakita nato kaganina sa law na nth root of A over nth root of B is just equal to the nth root of A over B. So, if we have here the square root of 50 over square root of 2, this can also be written as square root of 50 over 2. Then let's simplify. 50 over 2 or 50 divided by 2 is equal to 50 divided by 2 is equal to 25. Alright. So, now we now have square root of 25. And let's check. Can we still simplify square root of 25?
Yes.
Right. Because 25 is a perfect square. And that is equal to
5.
5. That is right. Because 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Alright. So, that's it. Actually, in dividing radical expressions, Sir Jade, is just the same in rationalizing. Okay? Sa rationalizing, Sir Jade, it is a process of removing a radical sign in the denominator. So pasabot, dili di ay siya simplified form ang radical expression if naatay makita nga radical symbol sa denominator. So in that case, same ra na siya sa pag-divide pod sa radical expressions. Ato siyang i-rationalize. Okay, so let's have an example. We have here square root of 15 divided by square root of 6x. Okay. So, direct maklaro pa ba itong marker? Okay, so, let's try to change it first. Square root of 15 over square root of 6x. Okay. So, let's divide this 2. Again, in dividing radical expression, it's just the same in rationalizing the expression. So again, in rationalizing, we are removing. Ang atong target is ma-remove ang radical symbol sa denominator. And to do that, we have to, of course, multiply an expression same with the denominator para ma-eliminate ang ato ang radical symbol. So in this case, square root of 15 divided by square root of 6x, square root of 6x would be multiplied by the same denominator para ma-eliminate nato or ma-remove nato ang radical sign. So in that case, square root of, this would be multiplied by square root of 6x over square root of 6x. Actually, Sir Jade, wala ray mahitabo ang nag-multiply tag-ingon ani because square root of 6x over square root of 6x is just equal to 1. So any number multiplied to 1 is walay mausab, the number itself. So in that case, we now have square root of 15 over square root of 6x multiplied by square root of 6x over square root of 6x. So let's simplify. Now we now have 15 times 6x, we have 90x. So therefore, we have here square root of, okay, so maybe next time mag-shopping na Sir Jade, no? Sa mga marker. Alright, so we have here square root of 90x. What about 6x times 6x? That would be square root of 36x squared. Alright, so what would be our next step? Okay, so we have to simplify. Okay, so we have here square root of 36x squared is equal to, it's a perfect square, right, Sir Jade? So this would be equal to square root of 90x over square root of 36 is equal to 6, right? And then x squared is equal to x. So square root of 36x squared is equal to 6x. Okay. Now, let's check. Can we simplify square root of 90x, Sir Jade? Yes, we can simplify it. We have factors which are perfect squares, and that is equal to 9 times 10. That is right. So, we can write this as square root of 9 times 10x over, diretso na lang tano, Sir Jade? 6x. And square root of 9 times 10x, of course, si 9 atong perfect square, so square root of 9 is equal to 3. So this is now 3 square root of 10x over 6x. B, is this already in simplest form? Di na ba na ito masimplify? We can still simplify this, Sir Jade. Okay, so we can cancel the common, which is 3 and 6. So the common for 3 and 6 is equal to 3. Alright, so therefore, this could be written as square root of 10x over 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. So we now have 2x. So the product, or I'm sorry, the quotient of square root of 15 divided by square root of 6x is just equal to the square root of 10x over 2x. Okay, so it's kind of comprehensive, but everything there can be found on your printed self-learning material. So this is just a supplementary for you to fully understand those examples on your printed self-learning materials. Okay, so we hope that you already learned the multiplication and division of radical expressions. Okay, so all we have to do is follow the laws of radicals. All right, so stay tuned because we will be right back after a short break. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Addition o multiplication, subtraction o ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. Ang mati ay sayon. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Come and learn to speak and write of the language of the world. Learn to understand the language of the world. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we write. This is the English way.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, so Sir Jade, we're almost there. So humana ta sa itong grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9. So this time, the last grade level, and that is our Math 10. Okay, so Sir Jade, what is our competency for this week?
Illustrates the center radius form of the equation of a circle and determines the center and radius of a circle given its equation and vice versa.
Vice versa. Okay, so we have to illustrate the center radius form of the equation of a circle. So actually, Sir Jade, we already have here the center radius form of the equation of a circle. So that is represented by the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared. It is equal to r squared. So in this case, Sir Jade, gitawag niya siyang center radius kay pag inani na gani ang form, this is actually the standard form, okay, of the equation of a circle, the center radius form. And in this case, it's also called the center radius because basically by just looking at this equation, we can easily identify the center and the radius of a circle. So in this case, pag inani ang form, the h here, this term, and the k here term shows our center because our center would be represented by h and k. So that means h units horizontally and k units vertically as the center of the circle. And of course, our radius represented by r. So since it's squared, so to find this, we have to get the square root. And getting the square root of this, that shows the radius. Okay, so that is what we call the center radius form of the equation of a circle. Again, it is presented by the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared. It is equal to r squared. So that's it. That is the center radius form of the equation of the circle. So let's have an example, Sir Jade. So given center and a radius, then we have to write the center radius equation. Okay, so let's have an example. Okay, so we have there our first example. If we have a center that is equal to 0, 0. Okay, so when the center of the circle is at the origin, pasabot sa origin, maon ni katong intersection, Sir Jade, sa x and sa y axis. So pasabot, the x coordinate is equal to 0 and the y coordinate is equal to 0 also. Direct can we show it to them? The first slide. Okay, so this is how it looks if your circle, if the center of your circle is on this origin. As you can see, naagyud sa tunga. Okay, so point 0, 0. So in that case, ang atong h ana, Sir Jade, is equal to 0 and our k is also equal to 0. Okay, so let us have an example. Given the center na 0, 0 and radius which is equal to 11. So we have here, if the center daw, Sir Jade, is equal to 0, 0 and our radius is equal to 11, how are we going to write the equation of, or the center radius form of the equation? Direct, can we move? Okay, so in this case, since our center is equal to 0, 0, pasabot, Sir Jade, ang atong h is equal to 0, ang atong k is equal to 0.
Okay.
So, if you're going to substitute this one using the center radius form of the equation, again, sa ganito, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared. So, since kay 0 man, Sir Jade, so if ato siyang i-substitute, this would now be equal to x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. It is equal to our radius, it's given 11. So this is now 11 squared. So x minus 0 or any number subtract or added by 0, it's the number itself. So therefore, pag ato ni siyang i-square, Sir Jade, this would now be x squared plus y squared. 11 squared, that means 11 times 11. So that is equal to 121. So in that case, given the center which is 0, 0 and a radius 11, we can have the center radius form of the equation, and that is our competency. We have to write the center radius form of the equation. That is equal to x squared plus y squared is equal to 121. Okay, so easier siya, Sir Jade, Mark, if the center is on the origin. pasabot, 0, 0 na, diretso na dayon ta, inani siyang itsura, x squared plus y squared is equal to the square of the radius.
But
Okay.
if dili siya 0, 0,
That's right, Sir Jade Mad. A very good question. That would be our next in line. We have here, if the center is not in the origin. So, naagid siya given point. So, let's have an example. Okay, so, pasabot ang ato ang origin, I'm sorry, ang center is not already on the origin. Let us try, if the center, let us say it's on the point 5, 3. And the radius is equal to 4. So how are we going to find the center radius form of the equation of the circle? So again, of course, we have to just simply substitute it. Correct. Ilisan lang nato dinhi sa ato ang equation form. Again, our center is 5, 3. So this shows that our h is equal to
5,
that's right. And our k is equal to
3.
that's right. Okay. So let's substitute now. So we have here x minus h squared. So ang atong h is equal to 5 man. So this would now be x minus 5 quantity squared. And our k here is 3 man. So therefore, we have the quantity y minus 3 quantity squared. And since the given radius is equal to 4, so we now have 4 squared. Then let's simplify. Okay. So 4 squared is equal to 4 times 4, right, Sir Jade?
Yes.
So 4 times 4 is equal to
16.
16. So therefore, the center radius form of this given center and a radius would be x minus 5 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equal to 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So that's it. We now have the center radius form. Again, if ang inyuhang center is not the origin, then all you have to do is substitute the h and the k. So again, the first coordinate shows your h, and your second coordinate shows your k. So ingon ani, ato lang dayon siyang ilisan. Substitution, so replace h and k. And then simplify, of course, your radius because in our center radius form, naka-square si radius. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully, do you understand on how we're going to write or illustrate the center radius form of the equation of the circle? So this time, let us have, how are we going to find the center and radius? Balihon na sa dato, Sir Jade.
Okay.
So kagaganina, gihatag ang center o ang radius, nangita ta sa, gi-write na to siya into a center radius form of the equation of a circle. This time, balihon na to.
So,
What
kanina
if,
siya.
that's right.
Ano siya may hatag?
Correct. What if the given is equation and mag-identify ta sa center o sa radius? So, excited na ba ka, Sir Jade?
Kaayod man, LV. Excited.
Okay,
kaayod
so
man.
let's have our first equation. If the equation is x squared plus y squared is equal to 16. Actually, kagani mo na siya kagani na, Sir Jade. Alright, so, di ba, Sir Jade, pag inani ang iyahang forma, unsa may atong dapat i-remember. Short ra siya, x and y ra siya. We don't have the quantity squared. So, unsay pasabot ani? The center is it's on the origin. That's right. It's on the origin.
Yes.
Nga naman, kay 0 naman ni siya. If we're going to substitute it, x minus 0, di ba? So, if we're going to simplify, x squared na lang gid siya o y squared ang ato makita sa left side of the equation. That's right. So, basically, dili na sayon siya. Sir Jade, no?
Yes.
The center is 0, 0
0.
because it is found on the origin and our radius is 16 man. So, again, the center radius form is naka-square.
Naka-square, yes.
So, pasabot, our radius here, 16 man. Our radius is?
4.
That is right, 4. Because our radius is, in the equation form is 16. So, just simply get the square root. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. So, therefore, the center is 0, 0. And the radius is equal to 4. Okay, what about this next example? Okay, so if the equation is, second example direct, we have here x minus 5 squared. Actually, kaganina mo siya. Y plus 1 squared is equal to 81. Like that. Okay, so as you can see sa atong example number 1 and example number 2, naadyo'y kalainan. if the center is on the origin and if the center is found any of the quadrants of the coordinate system. Okay, so here, lengthy. So, again, the H and the K represent our center. Basically, sa ato ang equation kaganina, this shows our H, this shows our K. So, pasabot, X minus H man to, since it's already minus, therefore, our H here is equal to 5. That's right. And our K here, since our K is positive 1, akong balikog sulat ang sa to equation form ha, kay base maglibog sila. Since it's written in y minus k quantity squared, pasabot here si k should be minus to make it that your value of your k is positive. But since our given here is positive 1, pasabot ani Sir Jade, nakasulat ni siya y minus negative 1, right? Negative of negative is positive. So therefore, our k is equal to negative 1. That is right. Okay, so you must be careful. I mean, you have to be careful. Dapat imong equation, if in case, para pinakadali nga buhaton, positive gani, automatically that coordinate is a negative because a negative of a negative is positive. But if it's already a negative term here, automatically that would be your coordinate. Or just like this, negative 5, so therefore x minus 5, so therefore your center would be 5 and then negative 1. Alright, then our radius, since it's equal to 81, we just have to get the square root. What is the square root of 81?
9.
That's right, it is equal to 9. So therefore, the center of this given equation is 5, negative 1, and the radius is equal to 9. Okay, so that's it. So hopefully you learn a lot, learners, for our topic this afternoon. Okay, so diretso na ta, Sir Jade. So we hope to see you next week on our next live. So again, if you have questions or clarifications, you can comment down below and Sir Jade will be the one to answer all your queries because he learned a lot this afternoon. Okay, so before ta mag-end, we would like to thank, go Sir Jade Mark.
Okay, before that, now we have our third attendance marker na makita ibabaw sa screen.
Yes.
Of course, we have to thank our executive producer, Sir Gasepi,
Yes.
and the production team, no? Nga
Very
grabe kay-
supportive.
Yes, supportive kay sila nako.
Active.
Active, okay.
Okay.
And then, of course, the learners, no?
Yes, thank you learners for watching our Facebook Live this afternoon.
Okay, so this has been Jade Marcia Abapo.
And again, this has been Miss Elvin Nueva. See you in our next live. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School. Bye!